Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's study hall. I am Aged Boomer. I'm here with Troy Pacelli.
Hello.
And for our guest segment for this evening, we have Owen Lister on with us.
Yo.
Okay, great. And we have some people in the chat already. Great. Casey Scott, welcome. Brian Gill Martin. Daniel Heron, of course, Nanette. Hi, Nanette. And Melissa, you were first tonight. Congratulations.
Yay, Melissa.
Okay. But anyway, yeah, we've all been a little busy lately. I don't know if you have any projects going on, Owen, but I know you've been working on some writing projects, right? So that's cool.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm also trying to get back into my little Beetle Blaze project.
Cool.
I've been putting it off for a little bit, so.
Well, that can happen. Sometimes you need a break. And Troy, you did a Klingon. I know this is old news probably at this point,
Yeah.
but it's worth repeating the Klingon cooking video. I finally did get around to watching. That actually looks good.
See,
I'd like to try that.
I actually should do like behind the curtains type video and just explain out of context. I started doing the whole Klingon cooking thing because I've been doing the Klingon thing since for 20 some years, since Nanette and I first met. But I've been doing parties and whatnot, and just realizing that if you're going to do Klingon cuisine, it's got to be palatable. It needs to look like the food that you're trying to emulate from the show. But when people go, what is that? You got to be able to say, it's just a noodle stir fry. It's not really worms. Yeah, exactly.
Not serpent worms. Okay.
I did one year. I did Heart of Targ, and I took it a little too literally. I went out and got lamb hearts.
Oh,
and only me and one other guy were willing to even try it. And I got to be honest with you, I didn't even enjoy it. I don't know if you've ever had, organ meat, but it can be kind of tough and just not really yummy. So I've come to the decision that I got to be less literal and more palatable. And I think I really hit the sweet spot with this guy. Yeah. So I'm going to be doing some more Klingon videos, some more food videos coming up, but yeah, I would super appreciate it. Remember, that's a completely different channel from my regular Troy Pacelli channel. So please, if you're at all interested in Star Trek specific content with a Klingon slant or specific view, give me a like and a subscribe and a share and a whatever YouTube things over there. I'd super appreciate it.
Okay. Yeah. And I would have tried the heart. I would have been brave, but you said you didn't enjoy it. So
yeah, you could try it. I tried it, but I was like, I don't think I'll be doing it this way again. I mean, I might try some other options where I like slow cook them in a broth or something over a long period of time to try and tenderize them. But I'll be honest with you, I came up with a far more palatable option that looks great. And then when you know what it is, you go, oh, yeah, that's good. Basically stuffed peppers, stuffed red peppers.
There you go. And that looks kind of the same look.
Exactly. And nobody's going to squirm about it. Although I do have the problem that, I do have some people that, believe it or not, there are some Klingons that are vegan. So,
vegan Klingons.
I know. But remember, as my video, I said, Klingons are as omnivorous as humans are. So they certainly have that option. So the gach is an easy one. All I got to do is hold the egg, right? And it becomes vegan.
Yeah.
And on request, I've done that. I mentioned in the video, I've held the onions because I have one person who is allergic. Okay. If I was having the professor over, I'd hold the onions too. So, I mean,
It's funny.
I mentioned a picky one. So
yeah, exactly.
I mentioned the video. What kind of wine do you drink? And I think somebody said something blood wine, but I was going to say, remember the Frugal Gourmet? You say, what kind of wine do you drink? Well, the kind of wine you like.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a horrible Cajun.
I do follow the whole concept of, fish with white wine and, red meat and red wine and so forth. But you're right. When it comes to Klingon food, blood wine is the option. Oh, by the way, what are you sipping on tonight?
Oh, I have I'm going to pop it. Hold on. Okay.
There we go.
That was a terrible pop. A Snapple apple.
Oh, very nice. I am drinking blood wine again. This is a vodka cranberry for you humans.
I did the other week, Troy. And the Troy. What do you sipping? I said water.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, that's boring.
Well, water's good. Water's good for you. You need to drink.
Nanette
water.
often says the same, but she's drinking cranberry too. So I guess that's she's drinking a virgin blood wine.
There you go. But anyway, it's red, so we have that going for it. But anyway, what else did I want to mention? I am gonna try. I am making an attempt at my first standalone video for the channel.
Awesome.
And now I'm gonna have to keep. Hopefully, by the time the next study hall happens, it will be up. But I can't promise. And I'm hoping because it's kind of time sensitive because it's the 31 best 31 horror movies worth watching that are available if you're an Amazon Prime subscriber that are available streaming. So,
and that will be very helpful to me and Netter because we are Amazon subscribers.
And it's funny because you mentioned Waxwork that didn't make it to the list, not because it's not worth it. I haven't seen it, and that's why I do.
You know,
I
that's
voted.
fair. You wouldn't know if that makes the list or not, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna vote. I did vote for your for the final Saturday night rewatch because I have never seen it, so I want an excuse to watch it. So,
oh, sure.
All right.
Oh, you can wait until that night too. It doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Okay, but we do have some news this evening. Should we get started?
Absolutely.
Okay. We have the article up. Normally this would be the worst news of the night, but I think there might be worse stuff coming. So, okay.
Yeah, I was joking offline with some people. I said I really do feel like, unfortunately, office hours is starting to become the
Study
oh my
hall.
God, what is happening kind of stream. But that's just we have no choice. That's what the news is, right?
Okay. Yes. This is from comic book /TV, comicbook.com, article by Jamie Levette. Lord of the Rings rumor indicates Amazon series could include sex scenes.
Yes.
I had mentioned to Troy. I wonder if they'll involve Gandalf. Anyway,
all
right. Amazon may be adding some unexpected nudity to Middle Earth in its upcoming Lord of the Rings television series. The massive project resumed filming in New Zealand in September after a pandemic-induced halt. Now a casting call has gone out for various actors, including those, quote-unquote, comfortable with nudity.
Yeah.
The casting call from the BGT talent agency caught the eye of Lord of the Rings fan site, theonering.net. It reads, comfortable with nudity? Up to 500 a day. Use reference nude. We see nude people based in Auckland, age 18 plus, all shapes and sizes. Intimacy guidelines will always be followed on set.
The porno they're making?
I don't I have a joke. I was almost thinking, can I find like non-explicit pictures of a? I'm sure there's been a pornography version.
I've
of Lord
told you that some of the porn parodies out there are actually better than some of the films that are being put out, and there are actually edited versions that take the sex out for those that just want the story, and there actually is a decent story there.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
The production set also has an intimacy coordinator on it. Seems suggesting series could include sex scenes. I didn't even know what an intimacy coordinator was. I looked it up on Wikipedia. Yep. An intimacy coordinator is a staff member who ensures the well-being of actors who participate in sex scenes or other intimate scenes in theater, film, and television production.
And I will say that is just like HR at your whatever business you work at. It's not really there to protect you. It's to protect the company from a lawsuit.
Okay.
That's really what it is.
Well, so any thoughts on this? Who wants to go first?
Owen Lister, you are the subject matter expert for the evening.
Here we go. What do you think, Owen?
I'll get another swig of my Mountain Dew for a moment.
Okay. Oh, Mountain Dew.
Oh, we forgot to ask you what you were sipping on. Mountain Dew? Here.
Is it Code Red Mountain Dew?
It is classic Mountain Dew.
Okay. So, do we think that do you have any objections to this, Owen?
Oh, let me tell you this. So,
strap yourself in, people.
Okay. Let him. Yes. Okay.
Okay. So, being of a man that has grew up with Middle Earth since I was a wee lad, I was introduced to it through the Rankin Bass Hobbit.
Oh, yes, amen.
Yes.
And then I have listened to the books And then when I got old enough, I was able to watch the films, the original and the extended cut.
Hmm.
And I just need to say this: anyone who thinks adding senseless sex scenes clearly does not understand Lord of the Rings or Tolkien in any form whatsoever. And they're clearly trying to be like Game of Thrones, even though Game of
Yep.
Thrones was
Absolutely.
just a more edgy fan fiction version of Middle Earth.
Can I ask you, Owen? Have you read the Silmarillion?
That one I haven't gotten to yet.
Okay,
My
fair enough,
mom
because
had.
I have not either. And I was going, my follow-up question was going to be, is it your understanding that this prequel thing that they're doing is based on something from the Silmarillion?
If so, I feel like they're going to do a bad job of it.
Hmm. Because of this or from some other things that you've heard?
Well, mostly with this, just due to the fact that I mean, I know some people might think of me as a prude for saying this, but given that I'm a man of faith and everything, so I
Oh,
might have some I might have more standards in like entertainment, and just the thought of like Lord of the Rings going in resulting into depravity like
yeah,
this, I feel
yeah,
like is quite an insult, especially to Tolkien, because he too was quite Christian, and
yeah.
those
That's
books
true.
showed that
That's
you
true.
didn't need to introduce any nudity or senseless violence to make your book good. You just got to be
Yeah,
good at writing.
yeah, yeah.
So this feels like this is a kind of a slap in the face to poor old Tolkien.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to play devil's advocate
Okay.
Good luck.
because I'm evil. I'm going to evil side. Now, Owen, this is about the second age. Now, I know that they say that Lord of the Rings is high fantasy and not low fantasy like something like Game of Thrones, but I mean, maybe the second age was low fantasy. Maybe they have to go through all this stuff to get to the more respectable third age.
All
Huh?
right. Let me be the voice. Let me be the voice of the middle ground here. Okay.
Hmm.
So first thing I want to point out is this is entirely based on the, what was it, relationship coordinator or whatever you said it was. What's that title?
Intimacy
Intimacy
coordinator.
coordinator. So they bring in an intimacy coordinator whenever there is nudity. Keep in mind,
Okay.
keep in mind that nudity does not necessarily mean sex. It could be something as simple as a bunch of orcs running around nude, and they're not even going to necessarily show
I don't
anything.
want to see nude orcs.
I dig it. I get what you're saying, but it could just be, the whole loincloth thing with, and maybe nothing actually shows up on camera, but they might be nude on set. And those people are just there to, make everybody feel good and safe and, whatever. I mean, so we don't know the idea, the what do you call it, the headline talking about possible sex. That is a complete speculative extrapolation based on the fact that somebody is there because there's going to be some nudity on set. Again, nudity on set does not mean nudity on screen. Okay, so let me get that across. Secondly, and I don't know if this means anything these days, but I'm crossing my fingers and hoping we still have the fact that the Tolkien estate has final say. They can say nix to anything that the show is trying to do. So
Mhm.
if the Tolkien estate says, yeah, no, that does not fit with what, our ancestor wrote, nix that's going to be gone. So they may have that person on scene to film these scenes that never even make it into the show. But again, we live in an age where, what the author intended and what dollars demand are two very different things. So I don't know that has any bearing.
But I was going to say another thing that this might worry me is
Mm-hmm.
that then I'm worried they'll now try to be a bit more like they'll insert some like their own politics
Yeah.
in there.
And again, I still feel like hopefully the Tolkien estate is on board with, because up till now, the Tolkien estate has been very, very conservative and protective of that. I'm just wondering
Well, they
if they're
say that way.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I just wonder if that might start to slip in view of dollar signs. I don't know,
Well,
but I would say that it's very interesting. We live in interesting times, right? And Owen says, people might consider him to be a prude. I find it mind blowing that I watch like Mecca Random, who I would not consider to be conservative. I would not consider her to be religious or a prude in any way. And yet on her channel, she is defending, Star Trek should not be swearing. Now she wants to use the F word everywhere, but she's like, but it doesn't belong in Star Trek. She understands that some things that she has no problem with don't belong in certain places. And I would say it's the same thing here. I'm not a prude. I'm kind of in the showgirls camp. Part of me wants to do a rewatch of that. I have no problem with nudity. I like nudity. I'm a male. Okay. I enjoy looking at naked women. I just do. But I don't want to see it when I'm watching Tolkien. I don't want to see it when I'm watching Star Trek. There's a time and a place for that, right?
Yeah.
Tolkien.
Yes, you're right. Tolkien.
Didn't you see the Tolkien movie? I keep wanting to say Tolkien too.
Yeah,
because that's how we pronounce it here in the States until we learned that wasn't how you're supposed to pronounce it. Anyway, I love some of the comments in the chat. I can't put some of them up though, but they're funny. Okay, do female orcs exist?
Not.
I don't know. I don't
know. Good question. There are two questions there. One is in Tolkien and one is in Dungeons and Dragons. We'll get to Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, we'll do
but
that.
I don't think there are female. So we might be talking about male nudity. You're absolutely right.
Okay. Yes.
Which gets us back to one of Melissa Harris's about not wanting to see any swinging dongs from the hobbits and whatevers.
Well, to side with Owen, that really isn't what we go to Lord of the Rings for. I'm trying to go for just for heroic fantasy. That's what I want to see. Now, something like in a Conan series, I could see that more because that is more in line with that. But that's not Lord of the Rings.
No,
Lord of the Rings is more. It's
as class.
Yeah, that's yeah. For lack of a better word, I would agree. And I'm gonna say, what was it? It's kind of like with this goes to everything else in Hollywood now, like with Superman, how they can't do Superman right because they don't understand how, you can have your harder edged superheroes, but they're not. You still need the aspirational ones, as the professor says. And I think too that the world of Lord of the Rings, I don't know if aspirational would be the right word for that, but it is a high fantasy. That's what
there is an analogy. There is an analogy to be made there. I mean, with Superman, they can't do Superman. They keep doing Batman, as Superman.
Or Hamlet.
And by the same Tolkien, not Tolkien, by the same token, they are trying to do Lord of the Rings, but in, they're trying to do Game of Thrones and in Lord of the Rings, and the two are not compatible. They are not the same thing. They're not interchangeable.
And I really don't want to watch a carbon copy of Game of Thrones right now anyway. I'm kind of over Game of Thrones, and I don't know if I want to see a television series based on Lord of the Rings. Now, I know that the original idea was they were going to set it in the Second Age, and apparently I thought things were going well. They had writers, and they had a very respected Tolkien scholar on staff to make sure things went the way they were supposed to go as far as the lore goes, right?
Yeah.
And then they fired everybody, including the scholar. So I don't know what happened after that. I mean, I remember hearing that was a big news story like about a year ago, I think, right? I don't know.
Well, it's really not looking too good for
I don't know.
I do honestly think that this is going to end up eventually pivoting us into our main topic for the night. I mean, we are looking at a time where the shenanigans are not gonna work anymore. They're gonna need to start getting their heads out of their collective bums and making these shows right, or not doing them at all.
Okay. Or make a completely different fantasy show, and you can have all the nudity and violence you want.
Right? What is wrong with just, I want to do something that's like Lord of the Rings. I want to do something that's like, Game of Thrones, but it's my own thing, and it's all swinging wangs all over the place.
I don't know. I was just thinking, how does this apply to the ends? But anyway, never mind. Anyway, I don't want it. I'm sorry. I don't want this in my Lord of the Rings series. I was joking earlier.
You know,
about
they do pull up their roots from time to time.
I don't.
Oh, no.
I just, I mean, theoretically, can't you watch Lord of the Rings with the family? Just leave it as something. It's not even that it doesn't have edge. The Lord of the Rings definitely has plenty of edge in it.
Oh,
I'm
yes,
just
it
saying,
does.
We live in a post-cuties age. There is no family TV anymore.
Let's not
now.
talk. I've avoided talking about that.
Amen.
Anyway, though, I don't know. I hope that all this is maybe so actors on set, because they have to be nude in a scene, and maybe it'll be silhouetted on something. You may not even see it. I don't know what's going on. And that the person is there to make sure that no shenanigans happen on set. I don't know.
Just to put it in context, they had, what is that? The intimacy, whatever, coordinator or whatever. Mm-hmm. They had one of those on set for every X-Men that had Mystique in it. Because she was getting into her makeup that was very an intimate kind of thing.
Intimate makeup, yes.
So there was no actual nudity there, but for her, safety and to make her feel safe, they had somebody there for her. So,
well, okay, and if that's all it is, and maybe whatever they're doing is in good taste. Yeah. At least as far as something that's supposed to take place in the Tolkien universe. Now, don't get me wrong. I love plenty of things that would be considered probably by people having bad taste. But when a person goes to the Lord of the Rings, they're expecting something. That's the point. Okay. When I go to see a Superman movie, I'm not expecting to see a 9/11 reenactment. Okay.
Yeah.
I want something fun. And when I go to see Lord of the Rings, I want epic fantasy, but maybe without some of the more tawdry stuff that we saw on a show like Game of Thrones, which is fine if you for that kind of show. It's just that's not Lord of the Rings. And I'm hoping that Amazon doesn't have some cigar chomping producer saying, "Oh, we gotta make it more like the Thrones series."
Right. Exactly.
So, Owen, are you hopeful, or are you going to wait and see, or are you pessimistic about this?
I'm going to pass on this show.
I may pass on it too, but I have Amazon, so I might give it a. We'll see. I don't know. I'm really not liking this. I know that New Zealand probably has a lot invested in this because they like people visiting their country for the Lord of the Rings sets.
Yeah.
And now it gets to build more sets, right?
Well, I got to say that I'm going to do the same thing that I've done with every new franchise that's come along. I am going to pass until I hear from the community of people that I trust. And that includes everyone in the stream here, you guys, Professor Geek, Al, and even, the big guys like Midnight's Edge, Mr. H, and Macarandum, see what they say, before I am willing to give it my time and energy. I subscribe to Amazon, but I'm not going to give it the clicks. I'm not going to give it the numbers until I know that it's, something that I'd be interested in.
Even when I had CBS All Access, I would not click on that Twilight Zone show. I just had a bad feeling about it from what I'd heard. Of course, I watched the Star Trek show, so maybe I didn't do such a good job there. Okay.
Its numbers are tanking like crazy, so you haven't heard it any.
All right. Owen, any last words?
Just that this is just making me want to get the extended cut of Lord of the Rings. Then I can just enjoy that, because that's practically a whole mini series right there. Because of
that's right.
They split into I think 3 discs.
Oh yeah,
because of how long it is. So
any one of those is a month of rewatches.
Well, yeah, because you could watch each one with a different commentary track.
Yeah. And
it takes forever. But that's actually, if you want to get a Blu-ray set of that, it's very nice. And they are, if I don't know if you buy 4K Blu-ray, but they're coming out with a 4K Blu-ray version as well.
I don't understand getting Blu-ray unless it's 4K, to be honest with you. That's just
because you get it 1080p.
Yeah.
You get it 2K, which is what 1080p is.
Honestly, most of these Blu-rays are just regular DVDs written to Blu-ray. You're not getting better quality. See, we're going to start a whole other conversation.
Oh, we will have a Blu-ray conversation at some point. Yes, I'm a Blu-ray supporter.
We actually don't have to have this conversation. I'm going to recommend people to some of the videos on retro blasting. He pretty much blasts
Oh, really?
DVD that's not up to DVD quality standards.
You know what? Email those to me too. I might want to check those out because I am curious. I know there are some
Agent Boomer, remind me when the
when the
when the
stream's
blood
over.
rhyme isn't. Yeah, when the blood wine isn't affecting me.
All right. All right. Okay. Owen, any last words before we let you go?
No, I said my piece.
All right. Well, listen, we appreciate you stopping by. We'll have you on again sometime.
We're
all right.
100% with you in
Thank you.
spirit, Owen.
Yes.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you so
Have
much.
a great one.
Have a good
You
night, Owen.
too.
Catch you
See
later.
ya, everybody.
See
Bye
ya.
bye.
Okay. And now we're going to be on to.
So before we pivot to anything else,
Yeah.
I think this is a perfect example of, and again, let me not undo everything that I said. We don't know, but it is looking like this is Hollywood asserting itself here in their stupidity. And I do want to point out that our entertainment does seem to be very much under assault by people that do not have the medium that they're working in at heart and in mind. So I did want to mention that although it's not necessarily Hollywood, it is entertainment.
Mhm.
And this whole thing about Wizards of the Coast, we had talked about this previously, and how the role-playing game community is so upset about orcs and kobolds and all of this. It's racist to have these concepts of racial negatives, and orcs are racist. And it's like, do you understand? These are absolutes. These have no analogs in real life. There are no real orcs. There are no real kobolds. This is a fantasy setting that has absolute evil and absolute good. I know you people that believe in moral relativism don't understand that concept, but at least in fantasy and aspirational fiction, there absolutely are absolutes. Now, many of us that are spiritual also believe there are absolute good and evil, and you don't understand that. But back the hell off, okay? But it looks like Wizards of the Coast, who own Dungeons and Dragons, have decided to side with the social justice warriors, and they are dropping negative orc and kobold racial traits from Dungeons and Dragons. For those of you that don't, play the role-playing games, when you create a character, if you create a character who's human, you get certain bonuses and you don't get a whole lot of negatives. If you choose a non-human, they have some benefits and they have some negatives. That's why you choose these races. And yes, it is painting with a wide brush. That's how you create your character. Well, Wizards of the Coast has decided that because people think that any negative applications of race is somehow racist, they have bowed to that and they are removing that from their game going forward. So whatever future edition they plan to put out, they're going to do away with that. I got to say, this affects me absolutely not at all, because I stopped at 3.5. They put out 4. They've put out edition 5. They're now going to put up, I guess, edition 6 or something. They are not getting my money anymore. Okay. I have put way too much money into way too many versions of Dungeons and Dragons for me to give a flying F about what they're doing now. I'm playing Pathfinder 1, and that's where our gaming group stopped. We're not buying any new books. Okay, right. I'm going to take a breath. Why don't you rebut that?
I'm going to say, you may think you're playing Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, Troy, but you are not if you're not buying all the up-to-date stuff from Wizards of the Coast.
Oh,
buy the new rule. Now, I'm going to say this. I'm new to, I'm not a D&D expert. Some misspent youth in high school, maybe. But no, I'm sorry. I'll be good. Though. Now, according to the article, it removes negative orc and kobold racial traits from Dungeons and Dragons. Kobolds receive 2-point increase to their dexterity in exchange for reduction of the strength by the same amount. But maybe they're getting rid of that now. Orcs possess racial ability score bonus of 2 points to their strength and 1 point of their constitution at a cost of 2 intelligence. An orc-specific menacing trait will be replaced with new primal intuition.
Yeah.
I have some questions here for you.
Sure. Go ahead.
I was trying to figure out which race or ethnic group are the orcs and kobolds supposed to represent, because I thought they were just supposed to be orcs and kobolds.
Yeah, they are.
Okay.
You'd have to ask a social justice warrior what they think that represents. I think that they believe that it somehow represents minorities in the real world. I don't know.
But your human characters can be any race or group, right? Usually, I mean, it's in a fantasy.
Exactly.
Book,
See, that's the interesting thing. If you're playing a human, okay, within any given D&D setting, you may have black humans, Asian humans, blah 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 blah. None of them
from
have
parts
any
of the world, and
those in quotes races. We're using race two different ways. If you mean the color of their skin or their ethnicity, those have no bearing on their stats. Okay, humans are all humans, and they get the same stats. When D&D is talking about race, they're talking about humans, elves, dwarves, gnomes, orcs, kobolds. All of those humanoid creatures are different races of humanoids, and they have, again, we're living in a world where we can't even accept male and female anymore, and we can't even deal with that. So the idea that different types of humanoids might have different stats, if there is no real world analog to this, you'd have to go back to Neanderthals and Homo erectus to be able to apply a difference and say maybe one has more intelligence, one is stronger than the other, one has whatever. Okay, in the modern world, we're all pretty much the same as far as D&D stats would go. So there's a complete lack of understanding of even real biology and what the analogy is in D&D. And unfortunately, Wizards of the Coast has just capitulated and said, okay, whatever you people say,
I don't know. I had this. I think I have a comment here. I forgot that tabletop is probably one of the further down the SJW rabbit hole than even other mediums. Did they get there first?
Yeah.
Okay, because I don't know if you've been dealing with this for far longer than anything else. Like, I mean, I'm sure there's a reason why you're at 3.5 and not at any of the others that came past it.
So I guess I should. I kind of went into this with an assumption that everybody knows my mind, and you don't. I have played D&D since the beginning. Okay, so I bought the first edition. I bought the basic, expert, all those sets, the advanced Dungeons and Dragons, second edition, third edition, 3.5 edition. And then when they were going to fourth edition, I said, look, I cannot justify spending over $100 for a new set of books and remember, you got to put in the time to learn a whole new game system and keep, so this is like that, but different, and forget what you knew before and learn it all over again. I couldn't do it anymore. I didn't have it in me. I didn't have the time or the energy.
If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Exactly.
Okay.
So what I chose to do at 3.5, after having bought all the books at 3.5, somebody pointed out that Pathfinder was going to continue using basically the exact it would be kind of like a 3.6 edition.
Wow.
You don't have to completely relearn a whole system. It did tweak a couple things that I did like. And I said, okay, I will one more time invest in the Pathfinder books, and I will continue to buy Pathfinder modules. And that's it. I'm done. Even Pathfinder now is going to a second edition now, and I will not do it. My game team has decided, nope, if any story comes out, any module, whatever, we'll convert it to to Pathfinder first edition. We're not giving them any more money. That's completely separate from this ideological thing of why they're doing this.
So that was more like a nickel and diming sort of thing.
Exactly.
Okay, but I love this. This is to address, they said, a quote unquote, a legacy of ethnic, racial, and gender prejudice in some old products. That doesn't, D&D never struck me as anything like that. I mean,
it was never intended that way. I suppose if you really wanted to stretch your imagination, going back to the Tolkien argument, there does maybe possibly seem to be some racial issues in Tolkien. One could make an argument that the dwarves appear to be analogs for Jews,
okay.
and I'm sure there are other more obvious, races in Tolkien that represent other people in the real world, maybe. But I think that's more people that are racist to begin with that are projecting.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know with that. I mean, but even so, I don't know. It never struck me as an exclusionary thing. I think anyone who was welcome to play D&D. I don't know. I mean, at most, it was considered not the hobby that the jocks played. Of course, actually, there was that wonderful episode of Freaks and Geeks. I don't know if you used to watch that Freaks and Geeks show. When it was
I've heard of it. Yeah.
The final episode they did was funny because what happened was I guess one of the cool kids who was also one of the burnouts joined them for a D&D game and actually found that he really liked playing and was actually good at it. Yeah. And it was weird because they were like, well, if you're hanging out with us, does that mean he's getting nerdy or we're getting cooler? That's what they said. And he actually enjoyed it and it was a nice episode because like this guy, even though he was one of the cooler kids, he kind of stunk at everything, not good academically. And then he plays an D&D game and he's actually good at it. And, it was like a nice moment where he actually found something he was good at,
I could totally see a sitcom like that where they realize that the groups within a high school strata could translate to the classes in D&D, where the jocks equate to the fighters, the nerds translate to the wizards, the stoners or whatever might translate to the thieves, and so forth. And one of the things you realize in D&D is if you have a group that's all fighters, or if you have a group that's all wizards or whatever, they usually end up dead, within the first couple rooms of a dungeon. You need a good balance to get through a dungeon. And that's a great life lesson.
Mm-hmm.
The jocks need the nerds, they need the stoners, they need the techies, the whatever, all the different groups in your high school group that you didn't necessarily relate to are people that you will rely on in the business world in the future when you grow up, But heaven forbid anyone should learn lessons like that these days. Now we live in the Harrison Bergeron world where we want to make everyone exactly the same, do away with any differences, make everyone average, so that everybody feels like they're equal. Everyone gets the participation badge. Congratulations.
You know what else I was thinking? The whole thing, does this mean like in D&D they want all races to all have the same traits basically? Or not race specific traits? Is that what it is? Like
I have not dug that far into it because again, I don't want to spend that much energy learning a new rule.
Learning about this nonsense. Yeah,
exactly.
I like the. Oh, go ahead.
But I was going to say that does seem to be how it is. All humanoids are going to have the exact same stats, and that completely defeats the point of having different races in. I mean, there was a line in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves that I thought was brilliant. Little English girl goes up to Morgan Freeman, who plays, I don't know, the Muslim character, and says, "Did God paint you?" And he says, did God paint me? Most assuredly. Well, why? Why did God paint you? Because Allah likes wondrous diversity.
Well, that's true.
I get goosebumps just thinking about that. That is effing brilliant, because you better believe that the God that created the entire world did not create people to be inferior to other people,
No.
but he did enjoy variety,
Yes.
you know? And I'll tell you something. When you go out dating, you know, if you choose somebody that's your same race, that's fine. That's your preference. You happen to like somebody of a different race, that's fine too.
Mhm.
That's your preference. I'll even go as far as to say you choose somebody of whatever gender you prefer. I don't care. Doesn't affect me at all, you know? And yet I tend to be labeled the racist and the phobe and the bigot and the whatever because I tend to be libertarian conservative.
Right.
Don't
And,
know what to tell you about that.
and that seems to be the group they're trying to tack down first, I think.
Mhm.
I like Wolf 10 Media's comment here. He said, weren't orcs supposed to be representative of the German war machine in Tolkien? I
So
wonder.
and see that I have a really hard time answering that question because it does seem reasonable, but at the same time, Tolkien himself has said no, he never intended that his book literally represented the world that he was in and any politics. I want to take the author at his word, but if I believe in death of the author, which I do, it does seem to appear that way to me.
Well, he was in the First World War.
Exactly. So,
but he did make a point, and this was in one of the Lord of the Rings movies when one of the soldiers working for the bad groups, the one guy, I forget the one brother, you know, he points and says, "Did he deserve to die? He was probably fed lies to come out here." And he says, "World make corpses of us all." He was actually almost having sympathy for the enemy, which I thought was interesting. That, you know, this is a man just like me, you know.
it's
Yeah.
it's the eternal question
Mhm.
of the man at war, right?
Yeah.
Because when you look across the battle lines, you see another human being, and you can't help but empathize. They have been told certain things, they believe certain things about you, right? But
Mhm.
at the same time, you have to consider surviving this war, fighting for what you believe in, fighting for your family back home.
Mhm.
It's a very complicated thing. It's never as simple as people, you know, as people think it is.
No, but maybe Holly. Well, actually, I'm going to talk on my butt here. I was going to say maybe Hollywood wants to see it that way, but I don't know. Should we get on to the trash fire?
Okay, I guess we've put the main topic off for 42 minutes. We might as well get right to it. Right?
It all jams together. Where do you want to start? You want to start?
I want to start with a follow up. Literally the day after last week's office hours, we kind of missed it. Oh, hold on a second. Let me copy this. And so we were Nanette was on last week talking about you know, the whole thing with Disney and all the layoffs. Well, literally the day after that, we got another headline that was directly related. And I'm like, oh man, we just talked about this. So I literally had to wait on it for a week. The Walt Disney Company executives to discuss fiscal full year and Q4 2020 fiscal results via November 12th webcast. They were supposed to be talking about this last week and they canceled their investor event. So literally Disney is running scared from the investors. And now there's talk about there being no dividends for Q4 and that whatever capital they have left being invested back into the company. That's how bad things have gotten over at Disney. I mentioned it last week how much debt Disney was carrying and how much hurt they have right now. The failures of Disney, of Star Wars and now Marvel, and then COVID hitting and all of this hitting at the same time. The parks all being closed. They let go of all of their part-time employees, and now there is actually speculation, complete speculation, not based on anything. Don't quote me on this. Don't go deciding what you're going to do about investing based on this. But there has been talk that Disney might up and move out of freaking California That's how big a rift is
What?
occurring right now. Yes. So
They would
one of the pieces of news that came out was that Iger is really, really pissed at the governor of California right now because their layoffs were very specifically they have been doing everything that California asks them to do and trying their best to help the Democratic Party get reelected in California. This is not rumor. This is absolute truth. Okay. And it's really looking like the government of California is turned against them and keeps putting these crazy sanctions on them and limitations on the parks, and you can only open in under these limitations and blah 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 blah. And they're like, we are going to die here. We cannot continue to support you if you're going to keep doing this to us. So there is a huge schism happening between the California Democratic Party and Disney.
I mean, where would they move though? Florida?
They could literally move anywhere they want to.
Yeah.
This whole idea that Hollywood, it's just been convenience that they have continued to exist in Los Angeles. They can pick up and move anytime they want to. And it's starting to look more and more like they're going to have to. The richest people in California are moving out of California.
I heard a lot of major stars are.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. And if that's going to happen, why not just move your corporate headquarters? It costs almost nothing if you've already moved out of state to say, you know what, I'm just going to set up an office here in, I don't know, Nevada, Texas, Louisiana, anywhere that is more conducive to their business, that gives them tax incentives. They are dying in California. The conservatives have been saying this forever. If you keep taxing the crap out of the rich up and leave. That's all there is to it. And I honestly foresee a future where Hollywood is no longer the center of entertainment. I don't know where the center of entertainment is going to coalesce, but it's going to be wherever the tax incentives are best for these businesses, because these companies, Disney, Sony, Universal, Warner Brothers, cannot continue the way they are. They are going to go bankrupt. There is no such thing as too big to fail.
So in the end, this is all about money, though, right? Not necessarily even about politics.
I've been saying all along, aged boomer, that you can do whatever social justice warrioring. Is that a word?
I don't know.
But you know what I mean.
Yes.
You can do that all Activism. You want when it's cost effective. When it begins to hurt your business, you have two choices: either stop and start making money, or go bankrupt, and you lose your platform to do your SJWing.
Now I read something that they moved the meeting up. There's going to be a public meeting on November 12th. That's an interesting date. I wonder if they moved it because it's after the election, but it's going to discuss.
Exactly. I'm glad, I got my finger in my nose right now.
Okay.
I think you hit the nail on the head, because they are looking to the election to decide what the future is going to hold for them. And it's going to make a difference, especially for Disney, especially in the post-Mulan China situation. Are we going to have another 4 years of the current administration saying, look, we're done with China? Or are we going to have another 4 years, or the next 4 years going to be under the DNC saying China's our new overlords? Now, I'm being hyperbolic, but
right.
But that's kind of what their thought is.
Interesting. So they're waiting. I know they're waiting. You see, that has to be why it's on the 12th, because that's what November 2nd is the election, right?
Yep.
And then it's 10 days.
And that gives them a week to piss and moan and debate and put their finger
in the wind, see which way the wind's blowing, right?
Exactly right.
I feel horrible though. All the layoffs though. It's just it's terrible. I mean, it's
So last week, Nanette said the same thing, and she empathized because we're in that same situation.
Mhm.
I happen to take a different track on this. I look at and I go, too effing bad. Join me in my misery. You thought you were above it. Guess what? You can crash and burn because you had no sympathy for me and for the rest of the country. And you were the same people that were out there saying, wear your masks and cower in fear and hide in your basement until this blows over and until we have, an inoculation or whatever, which still has not come. And you are tanking our economy. And guess what? It affects you too, you dumbass.
oh yeah, you're thinking of what, out in California?
I'm talking about everywhere. I'm
Okay,
talking about the whole industry.
Yeah. Well,
all of these, and because we are talking about your workaday people that have lost their jobs, but you're also looking
Right.
at the executives, you're looking at the actors, you're looking at the Dolly Grips and the best boys that are all out of work right now, sitting and waiting. They can't do any filming because of where they've chosen to film and the situation that they've created for themselves. And I have no sympathy for them. The people that are gonna get through this, that are in the entertainment industry, are people like Ryan Reynolds, who were intelligent enough to invest in other things besides Hollywood. But the people that were counting on their next job, that thought that I'm rich and I'm always going to be rich, guess what?
Oh,
You're
that's
gonna
what you're talking
effed.
about.
Yeah,
because I felt bad for like a lot of the theme park workers.
Sure. But they were all part-timers. Those
That's true.
part-timers can get part-time. I mean, they could get the same
They'll
paying
find
job
something else.
at Walmart,
Yeah.
at Target. Okay. I'm talking about these rich bastards that are getting what they deserve.
Oh man, and I got to tell you, if you want to move on, cinema shares sink.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Let me go ahead and drop.
If that was next, I don't know if that's where you want to go next.
No, sure. That seems like a great segue.
This is terrifying to me. I have to tell you, I actually do like going to the movie theaters. I mean, it's a social activity. I see it mainly as, you have friends or family, you're looking for something to do at night, and go out to the movies, and hopefully something good is playing and not something starring a certain actress. But anyway.
Well, let me tell you something, Agent Boomer. You hit the nail on the head. You see it as a social thing. Mm-hmm. These people want to divide us socially. They don't want us getting together socially. They want us to be living in our basement, hiding, absorbing only what they feed us through their internet. Remember, the tech giants are in bed with them, telling us only the facts that they agree with. All other facts are lies. Their fact checkers tell us what to believe. We're living in freaking 1984 here.
It's I have to say I used to I think I was liking it that beginning of the year it felt like living in a prison.
Yeah.
Now I feel like I'm living in an asylum these days. But
you know what I mean? See why you would say that, but let me suggest a different analogy to you. You're living in a re-education camp.
Oh my word! It's not working.
Yeah, you're living in your basement, reading the internet that they want you to believe. You got to believe what they tell you because you only get the facts that they share with you. Yeah, that's kind of the world we live in.
Now, I think we discussed some of this last week. Exhibition stocks closed low. Delays in major studio releases push theater owner Cineworld to close doors. Now, I think that they're the ones that own the Regal chain in the United States, right?
Exactly.
And we do have Regals in my area too. Their UK chain shares plunged 50%.
Yeah.
This is from an article on Deadline by Jill Goldsmith. And MGM delaying No Time to Die. That seemed to be the straw that broke the camel's back. They delayed it to Easter 2021. Cineworld CEO Mookie Gredinger, hope I said that right, laid blame on New York Governor Andrew Cuomo's intractable resistance to opening movie theaters in the state.
Yeah. Whether you're New York or California, they're having the same problem. It's ironic that the the two states that depend the most on the entertainment industry are the ones that are the most fanatical about keeping theaters closed. They're literally committing suicide, economically speaking. It's freaking ridiculous. I just dropped a link. Movie business leaders urge Congress to fund theater bailouts. And I say, F that. No more bailouts.
Well,
change the circumstance that's causing you to need a bailout.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna get to that in a sec. I want to say though, they say Cinemark has funds to see it through prolonged shutdown, so I guess they have enough money to survive if they have to. AMC, they say AMC 6 months left if they don't get something. If they don't get the money.
I said this to you over the past week. I'm going to say it now online that I honestly feel like, and this is based on nothing. I have no link to share. This is entirely Troy Pacelli's opinion and speculation.
Okay.
But I honestly think that we are going to be looking at an era where the entertainment industry, the Disneys, the Warner Brothers, and the so forths, are going to have to come out of this on the other side, opening up their own theaters in order to show their own movies. So you're going to go to a Disney theater to see a Disney film, and you're going to go to a Warner Brothers theater to see a Warner Brothers film. I think that's the only way we come out of this on the other side, because the independent theaters are all going to go bust by year's end.
There is a conspiracy theory floating. I didn't have an article on that for you, but and I think it's a conspiracy theory. I'm not believing it, but they had a theory that years ago, there was a law saying that a movie studio couldn't own their own theater chain.
Is that true?
But
I did not know that.
Yes, but this was from way back in the day, but it got overturned a couple of years ago, I think, because a lot of these movie studios are now incorporated into larger corporations that have all these different assets all over the place, right?
Sure.
So they figured it was an antiquated law. And the conspiracy theory is that Disney and all these other companies are trying to have the governors keep the theaters closed so the independent chains go out of business and they can then open up their own theater chains. I think that's a conspiracy theory. I'm not buying it. But it made me think of it when you brought up the fact that they own their own chains.
I was completely unaware of this conspiracy theory before you just now mentioned it.
I just plopped it in your lap. Yeah.
So
because I was going to bring it up because I don't believe it.
I just want to make it clear that what I just said is completely separate from this. I came up with this completely independently, which leads me to believe that maybe there is something in it. And if you think about it rationally, Aged Boomer, is it so? The reason that you could argue against it is, well, antitrust, right?
Yeah.
If you control the theaters and the entertainment, but if there's different entertainment companies and Disney has their own theater and Warner Brothers has their own theater and Paramount has their own theater and so forth, is it really an antitrust situation? It's no different from Walmart, Target, Meijer, right?
Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, I think that's why it was on the books originally.
Well, I think that's definitely going to be a legal issue to deal with, but I do feel like that's where it's leading. It does. I do expect it to go that way. But regardless of whether it does or not, in the short term, the local theaters are dying. They are closing. They only have so much capital to coast for so long before they die under these oppressive 2020 CV, closure mandates.
Well, I am going to say, do you think the movie business leaders, they're urging Congress for a fund bailout?
I am never in favor of bailouts of business. I wasn't in favor of it, 10 years ago, for the housing market, for
the car companies,
any of them. If you do not look, you invest in your business. If you fail, you fail. That's what you're doing when you speculate and take chances. If you don't do what you need to do to create a successful business, why should anyone bail you out?
Well, I was also thinking if we bail out, I mean, I take it they want the theaters bailed out. That's what this is all about. But what if they start saying, oh, this, we had a few bombs at the box office. We don't want to lose Warner Brothers, that sort of thing.
But isn't that the problem? You bail out one, how do you justify not bailing out all? And where does that money come from? And where is my bailout? My personal bailout for me sitting here without a job.
Yeah.
You
well,
know, that
I mean-
is the problem. Quit trying to bandage an artery bleed. Frickin' suture the artery, for crying out loud.
Now, yeah, I agree with you there. I had some nasty notes here written in here. I said they always cater to China these days with their movies and censor content in our movies that are released here. Like if you look at Maverick, they made him take the patches off of Tom
Yep.
Cruise's back. That
Absolutely.
it was just a patch for the country of Taiwan. You know,
Yep.
it wasn't even like it wasn't even making a statement about it one way or the other, but they didn't want that on there, and that's for our version of the movie. I mean, if they
Yeah.
want to censor it for a version they ship to China, I don't care what they do there, but they shouldn't be doing it with us too. And I'm thinking, I feel like they've been catering to other markets way too long. They're not catering to us, and it's just. But I'm going to say, what happens to movies without theaters? Now, I know you did mention that you think this could be an opening for like Disney to start their own theater chain,
Yeah.
which I could see happening. But if that's not feasible, I mean, I just worry without theaters.
So
Movies,
in the interim, they're also trying to do the whole go directly to video on demand.
Mhm.
And you've seen how poorly that has been received. Mulan, nobody was fired up about spending an extra $30 on top of what they're already paying for a premium service, right?
Mhm.
So then it looks like Disney is going to be releasing their next Pixar film directly to Disney Plus with no extra fee. It's just being released to
Oh,
Disney
really?
Plus.
Soul is coming to Disney Plus.
Soul, yeah.
Okay. That one looked interesting.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, is that going to be the future? There's a lot of argument going around for, I actually prefer watching a movie in the home anyway. So let's not do it in the theaters. But then you come to they can hide behind their paywall and not have to tell us how it did financially. And they can play Enron games.
Yeah, and they will.
Absolutely. They're doing it right now. Look at CBS All Extortion. They've been doing it for a while now. They tried releasing Star Trek on free TV on CBS, and guess what? We get to see the numbers, and we get to see how few people give a flying F about that.
Well, they would argue, well, everyone that wanted to see it's seen it, and it's a rerun. And for a rerun, it did very well in the ratings. Yeah. Okay, that's what they'll say.
That's fine. Tell me if that's buying you any investor dollars. It ain't. I can tell you that right now.
Strange New Worlds. It's just, I keep thinking investor dollars.
Because that's something tangible. It's the real world. It's like a sailor going out and not paying attention to the wind. Okay, we are in a business world. What makes you money is what the people want. And as long as you continue to say you're an idiot, it's not your dollars we want. Okay, fine. You don't get our dollars. You go out of business. You're screwed. It's very, very simple. I want to go this way, but the wind is blowing that way. Okay, fine. Then you just sit there with your sails down.
And they're getting no traction.
Exactly.
I don't know.
There's reality and there is what you want to believe. This is what I try to teach my stepkids. This is what the world needs to learn right now. You can believe whatever you want to believe, but reality does not give a flying frack what you believe. Okay? You can believe there's 10,000 genders, but you're not going to get a man and a man or a woman and a woman or a Z and a Zer to have a child together. For the past billion years, it's been male, female, come together, make a child. 50-50 chance of which gender it turns out to be, because there's two genders. Oh my gosh, I said it. I'm sorry, I said it on your channel.
It's okay. Anyway, but you're basically making that you're thinking that the industry needs a reality check and they're not living in reality. Okay.
Exactly. I am making, yes, tie the analogy back to what we were talking about. Thank you, AG Boomer.
Anyway, but I'm just saying, yes. And the thing is, I don't know. I think Disney will survive this. Whether or not they deserve to is another thing.
Oh, they'll survive in some fashion.
I am going to say Warner Brothers
got to change.
Warner Brothers does not look good right now. Okay.
Yeah, okay, so you want to switch over to
We don't have to. Do you have anything else you want to say about
Well,
Disney?
it almost seems pointless, but I did have this
Yeah. Go ahead and
this
bring it up.
one little point that's just another example of what's happening with Hollywood. All the delays, and we'll get to some of the other ones, but Villeneuve's Dune has now been pushed off to 2021. But since since you did want to pivot into Warner Brothers, let's go ahead and drop that Batman is being pushed off till 2022. I mean, that one hit like a ton of bricks. That one is kind of a shocker. That's being pushed off farther than any of the others. Yes, Warner Brothers is absolutely hurting. And I think what we really need to do is, we talked last week about Disney and all of their layoffs, but oh my gosh, Warner Brothers and DC Comics have had a whole bunch of layoffs too.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I think the more
Warner Brothers Media, its ranks already thinner, looks to shed thousands more jobs amid COVID-19.
That was from the Deadline article. Yes.
Yep. I just dropped that.
Accelerating and shifting. Oh, here's something that they mentioned. This drove me crazy. An acceleration and shifting consumer behavior, especially in the way content is viewed. And I have my own comment here. Remember when consumers used to be called customers?
Yeah, exactly.
That's how they look at us. They don't look at us. They're not looking at us as customers anymore.
That is why they are failing. They are forgetting that we're the ones with the dollars that they want. To a certain degree, we are the boss. And they are forgetting that. They've fallen under this misconception that they will tell us what we want. And we're going, no. When we withhold our dollars, we tell you what we want.
But yeah. I don't know. They don't seem to be getting that message.
Yeah. I
mean, maybe they're getting it now. I don't know. I mean, I'm looking at the roster for the next year. I think I had another comment that it just seems it's looking like the 2020s are going to be culturally dead for a little while. I mean, we're still getting the same DC cinematic universe.
Yep. Well, Wonder Woman 1984 is still being released, but the rumor is that it's being released straight to streaming. Now, there's some debate about that because the director came out and said, "Oh, no. We're very concerned that theaters are going to go away. We don't want that." Well, I don't really care what you want. What does Warner Brothers want? Can Warner Brothers afford to sit on the only thing that could possibly make them money?
Could they do a simultaneous streaming on Christmas Day or go to the theater on Christmas Day?
I don't know.
They could just do it simultaneously.
How did Tenet work out? It made profit, but not near as much profit as they wanted it to.
But that wasn't available streaming, was it?
Wasn't it? I thought it was.
I don't know. I don't know if that was. I know Bill and Ted was, and Bill and Ted actually did well. But
Bill and Ted actually did well, but they did well because now this is going to get us into another topic that I did want to talk about later on, but we can hit it right now.
Sure, why not?
This whole idea that that not just Disney, all of entertainment industry really needs to learn that the days of pie in the sky spending is over. You can't spend half a billion dollars on your movie and expect to definitely get $1 billion movie out of it. That's not happening anymore. Those days are over. So the only way you can ensure making a profit is to spend as little as possible. Bill and Ted had a shoestring budget. They basically made a film for, I don't know, whatever Keanu Reeves generally makes on a film.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone else took scale. And some people, got almost nothing out of it.
It was more of an independent production, probably.
It absolutely was.
Yeah.
And the thing that I wanted to share about that was that there was an article that Big Al shared in the Professor Geek Facebook group this week that I recommend people take a look at. Is this fan film, sci-fi short, has the best CG we've ever seen. Okay. And I've been saying this for a while. When you look at things like like Axanar, the fan film from Star Trek and some of the other Star Trek fan films, okay, they are at least as good as the original series, some of them as good or better than Star Trek Discovery and Picard.
Oh, yeah.
And they are doing it on zero budget. It's people doing it out of their own pocket just for the love of it, not looking to make a profit on it. Okay. The CG that is available to the average person with a desktop is every bit as good or better than what we have seen from the most recent Jurassic Park films, from the Scorpion King, heaven forbid the Justice League films, and that god awful mustache cover. Even Princess Leia and all of her hope speech. Okay, I'm seeing people using deep fake correcting those scenes. Literally a program they could download off the internet and that they're using in their basement, and they're fixing Hollywood films. So you tell me that Hollywood can't cut their budgets, for crying out loud.
There's been bad CG over the years, and I've never understood it. Remember X-Men Origins Wolverine?
Yes,
that has some of the worst CG. Not just the Patrick Stewart, also like when his claws retract out of him, the adamantium, and it looked like something. I don't want to say it looked like something out of Roger Rabbit, because Roger Rabbit actually had good effects, but they look very cartoon-like, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
For crying out loud, during the Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein last night, the animated, transformation from the bat into Dracula was better than some of the CG that I'm seeing these days. And that was back 1930 something? This is ridiculous. This is flipping ridiculous. And these people are charging millions of dollars for these effects, and it's tanking at the box office and being ridiculed online. Okay. Hollywood needs to get their heads out of their backsides and figure this crap out.
I have another theory too. This is again my own conspiracy theory, that maybe the budgets for the effects aren't as high as they lead on, and that maybe some of this money is going elsewhere. Like they'll say they spent all this money on the CG. I'm not seeing it.
I can believe that. I mean, because there is the other side of it where they do this creative accounting in inverted quotes.
Yes.
Where they say, well, we didn't make a profit, so you can sue us, but we didn't make any profit, so we have no money to give you, which we all know is a bunch of BS, because most of these people make their money on the front end to begin with. But again, creative accounting is what caused the Enron scandal. It can't last forever. It never lasts forever. So if that's the case, that's what's going to end up happening someday.
Oh, by the way, I did have some good news about that short film you sent me about that you just posted about it's based on an old Japanese TV show.
Yep.
It's going to be CG, and the guy was a big fan of it, but the company that owns it in Japan gave them the go ahead, and they're going to make a feature out of that.
That is freaking genius. It's going
to be made in Brazil, though.
If CBS had done that with frickin' Axonar, they would not be in the situation they're in right now.
Yeah.
And who are the business geniuses in this world? It's not the U.S. anymore. It's Japan, and it has been for decades.
And I'm saying this thing was made in Brazil. Brazil seems to be up and coming with a lot of the creative stuff I've been noticing there.
So maybe that's where the industry goes to. Maybe it leaves California and goes to Brazil. I don't know.
They've been making video games. I mean, they're smaller productions, but what I've seen is very nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think they could become a force maybe in gaming one day too. So more power to them. We need somebody to kick our butts so we can maybe readjust and compete again.
Yeah.
Because when you don't have any competition, what happens?
Yeah.
Well, anyway.
That's exactly. Well, when you have no competition, you corner the market, but you still are bound by the laws of economics. Mm-hmm. If you price yourself out of the market, people stop buying. If you're the only game in town and nobody's buying, you have just as empty a sack as the guy you put out of business.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean that.
So I'm going to come back to something the professor's always saying. People understand You have the power. Don't spend your money on something that you know you won't like, that you don't want to support. If you want more of this BS, by all means, feel free to throw your money at it. But if you are in any way unhappy with it, don't give them your darn money. It's that simple, especially now. Now is the time we have them over the freaking barrel.
Yeah, we have them on the run.
Exactly.
I don't know if they realize that or they're still so arrogant they don't. I don't know.
Yep.
Warner Brothers is throwing dates around like crazy. Dune has now been pushed back. I was kind of looking forward to this.
Me
I
too.
thought it might be something to see around Christmas time, but pushed back to October 1st, 2021, which was supposed to be the original release date of The Batman, which has now been pushed back to
2022.
And there's some interesting things on the set of that one.
Well, so I'm going to play both sides of this just to try, and because I think playing both sides of it will get to the truth. So the question is that there has been rumors that Robert Pattinson is being difficult on set, and that's part of what's causing this. So the rumor being that, okay, he got hit with CV, so they had to shut down production. But the reality is there's other problems too. We all talked about that article, I don't know, several weeks back. We were talking about that Variety article where he said they were paying him to work out and he wasn't working out because that just contributes to the problem. And James Dean didn't have to work out for his roles and blah, 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 blah. And then he shows up on set. He's a freaking, scarecrow, and his stand-ins all look like the Hulk by comparison to him. So when you see this bulked up suit, it's not Patterson in that suit, right? So
yes.
So the rumor being they sent him home and they said, you have CV and you're going to go and you're going to get better and you're going to fricking work out, which he still didn't do, apparently. So that's all rumor, right? Now, Mr. H had a video just this past week where he was trying to debunk some of it. He goes, look, I know some people that are working in London on the movie, and there have been some issues because of storms that they're having there that have caused them, between the storms and the CV, restrictions. He said people would show up on set to do filming and they would literally be confined in trailers where they are separated by plexiglass and not allowed to talk to each other for hours, just sitting around waiting to find out if they were going to do anything and then get sent home because it wasn't safe for them because of the storms. Okay, Mr. H, that's great, but that doesn't negate these rumors about Robert Patterson. Those are not mutually exclusive situations. All that describes is an additional layer of problems on top of what could also be happening behind the scenes. Whatever the case is, there are issues that have caused Batman to be pushed off to 2022. And my thought is, if they're going to rush Wonder Woman out on either a streaming service or they're going to stick to their guns or they're still going to get it out in 2020 and Batman Patterson is being pushed off to 2022, I have to wonder if Batman 22 is even going to happen.
I think it has to happen. I think they've invested too much in it. When you mentioned storms, so you're talking about rainstorms?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, that's something that our news hasn't been covering a great deal, but has been very much in the British news because it happens to them seasonally, and it's a problem. And if you're gonna, if there's seasonal storms, I mean, that would be kind of like coming to the United States and filming in Louisiana during hurricane season.
Okay, yeah.
It's like, what the hell is wrong with you?
Right. I don't. Well, I think they were supposed to have all this wrapped up before the storms hit, though, right? And the problem is it keeps getting postponed.
And you can argue that CV contributed to the postponement that caused the storm problems. And now there's talk over in England about additional CV restrictions because they've had, additional flare-ups. you know, what country is it that I heard that isn't having these problems, and filming companies are starting to go there? Is it like Lithuania or something like that?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
Sounds
one of
interesting.
these Baltic states has really been working with WHO and local governments and whatnot, and figuring out how to most proactively be able to film, you know, take reasonable chances, do what they need to do, get the scenes shot. And a lot of films are getting shot there, and they're starting to say, you know what? We'll make the tax incentives if you want to come here, instead of continuing to film in the US and England, where they have not gotten their heads on straight.
Oh my word. It just this whole thing. This is a troubled production to say the least.
Yup.
And I don't know if they can move the production to Lithuania, like you said, but Midnight's Edge and Doomcock were talking a lot about this. They were interviewing a gentleman that works out in Hollywood. I think he's the director himself, and he was asked. They asked him if he'd heard things about Robert Pattinson. They said when he showed up to the set, he was quote unquote skinny fat. That's what the director thought.
Yeah, because you can be calorie deprived and thin, but still eating a bunch of crap, and so you're not building any muscle mass. And that's basically what he is. He's got that heroin chic thing going, and it's like, you know, that doesn't help you when everyone is calling you, you know, sparkle bats.
That might be good for Morbius, the living vampire.
Yeah, if you want to leave behind that whole Twilight thing, maybe bulking up might be the way to go, dumbass. I mean, I look at someone like De Niro with Raging Bull, okay, and I think, you know, somebody that can bulk up and then drop it all and then bulk up again for what was that other movie, something Coast, Dead Coast, or whatever it was.
Mosquito Coast.
I don't remember, but
Harrison Ford in it, but
I don't remember. But
Cape Fear.
That's it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
All right. Yeah.
From Raging Bull, he bulks up, then he shrinks down, and then he bulks up again for Cape Fear. And it's like, that's an actor who's dedicated to the role. That is not, as this twink puts it, you know, contributing to the problem. No, what problem you're contributing to is thinking that the world revolves around your ass, because it doesn't. You're an actor. You are a blank canvas. It is your job to be whatever the studio tells you they need. Otherwise, step aside and let an actor who fits the role take that role.
The trouble is, though, haven't they shot half the movie already?
You know, there have been other movies that have gotten this far and had similar problems. Hell, they've had to work around people dying who were their headliner and having to work around it.
Wasn't Nicholas Hoult the other guy that they were thinking about going with?
You got me on that one.
I don't know. He was the one who played Beast in the X-Men. I think he was the other one, but they went with Robert Pattinson. I remember Zoe Kravitz, though. I think they got some. I think they quoted her, and she was saying, I've been on a strict workout regimen, and this guy's doing nothing. Which, because she's playing Catwoman, and it's
so on the one token. On the one token, if you want to look at it from the SJW side, which everyone seems to in Hollywood, you could say, the feminists would say, well, look, the woman has to work so much harder than the man, right? And I, as a man, would say, well, then you are part of the problem. You should hold him to the same effing standard. Don't let him get away with it, feminist. Be a real feminist and demand that he do everything that Zoe Kravitz is doing.
Don't they need like some I don't know. I keep thinking of the cigar chumping producer, like getting Pattinson in a room and scaring the hell out of him. You know?
Well,
I don't know. Does that not exist anymore?
From what I've been hearing, the director is just sick of dealing with it, and he's like, I'm done. I just want to get this movie done and be over with it. And I'll be honest with you, this movie would have, with all the trouble that it's been having and as much money as they're losing, because every time they push it out, they lose money. Okay. So it's become a money sink. It's become a money sink. Do you think this is going to be the huge Christopher Nolan hit that they're expecting it to be? No, it's not going to. It's going to fall into the same problem that I have said, that they're going to spend millions of dollars and they're not going to hit the $1 billion mark that they need to consider it a success.
So if this movie fails, or if it doesn't even meet the success, are they going to blame Pattinson for it, you think?
they'll blame CV, they'll blame Pattinson, they'll blame us for not going to see it. They'll blame everyone
blame
under the
fans.
sun. Yeah.
You entitled fans, you didn't give it a chance. It's like,
that's what they'll say openly. But in the boardroom, they're going to go, okay, well, we've got to cut our losses here. This isn't happening anymore. What do we have that's still working? Wonder Woman. Okay, let's try to build off of Wonder Woman. We'll do Wonder Woman 92 or something. I don't know.
And the Flash movie.
Well, the Flash movie is their opportunity. If they figure their stuff out. Did you see? I got caught myself there.
It's okay.
If they figure their stuff out, they could use this Flashpoint the way it's meant to be and reboot it and really take what few tiny little kernels did work in the Snyderverse and build on that and get rid of the rest of the stuff that didn't. But unfortunately, they don't have the intelligence to know what those things are.
I'm trying to think what kernels there would be. Wonder
Woman. Gal Gadot. That's Gal Gadot. I'm sorry.
She was a good casting.
That's
there.
about
that was actually good casting because I was making a point. I may have notes here. Who cast Robert Pattinson? And I'm wondering why are they? Is Hollywood having a leading man problem? I don't know.
Not only who cast him, why did they cast another Batman? Why didn't they wait to do Batman after Flashpoint and cast a new Batman? Because Batfleck did not work. Okay. Robert Pattinson is clearly not working.
Yeah.
What they need to do is Flashpoint this thing away and I don't know, find a new way to build a new Justice League, maybe around Gal Gadot. Maybe.
But I thought that's what this was going to be. I thought this new Batman movie is not related to the Snyderverse, and that this might have been another branching off point if it proves successful. I don't know.
That might have been their intent, but
they know what they're doing. That's what I'm wondering, because they don't seem to want to commit to anything right now. They're all over the place.
They're still having the same problem that they've always had. Let's just make another Batman movie, make a new universe, never let it touch any of the other universes, because if one thing tanks, it tanks everything. They have not been able to figure out the formula. Marvel had the formula and now they're shitting all over it.
Yeah. Well, Marvel did pretty good up until the end. But,
yep.
Well,
and now I didn't even start a list of notes about what's going on in the Marvel universe because it keeps coming back to the same thing. They're clearly continuing with the idea that the next phase of the Marvel universe is going to be they're all different, all special, all social justice warrior Marvel, which didn't work in the 90s, which tanked. And why do they think it's going to work any better in the movie theater?
I think they should reboot. I mean, they already lost the actor playing Black Panther, and I'm thinking I think they should just reboot, use new characters, and maybe some of the other characters that we didn't get to see too often.
I agree with you, and apparently so does Hollywood. But their idea of rebooting and our idea of rebooting are two very different things. They think they're just going to cast, his sister as the new Black Panther, and we're just going to go all female, and we're going to swap genders, and we're going to swap races, and that is what's going to make it a reboot, and that's what's going to make it successful.
In order to do so, that you have to do it in an organic way instead of trying to shoehorn it in. That's the problem with all this stuff.
They think they're doing it organically.
They're not.
Because they're saying, well, look, it's in the comics. That justifies it. And any bean counter is going to tell you those comics did not sell. And it's what caused Marvel to go freaking bankrupt in the first place. That's why Disney owns them now. You dumbasses.
Well, I like Auditor Dread's comment. Christian Bale lost so much weight for The Machinist.
Yes,
and gained it back for the Batman Begins. He had actually bulked up so much that Christopher Nolan said, "Whoa, wait, you're too muscular. Like he got really big." And he said, "No, lose some more.
Yeah. Take it easy
in between." Because
he
was like a skeleton in The Machinist.
Yes, he was.
Yes, and that was an interesting movie.
Now, keep in mind, we all know that's not good for the body. And that's very unwise. And especially in this day and age, it's not entirely necessary. When you have CG that you can go through a movie and then at the end you need to be all skinny, they can do what they did in Captain Marvel. I mean, Captain America. You know,
Yeah.
they can scrawny you down.
They can
You
do a
need to
lot
be
of things.
muscular for the last couple scenes. We can Hulk you up. Okay, we don't need you to be, destroying your body to do this. But in all honesty, given an opportunity to get healthy and build some muscle and look effing good. I mean, I look at people like Chris, what's his name from Guardians of the Galaxy? You know
Oh,
who I mean, Star-Lord.
I know who you're talking about.
He went from looking like me, basically, when he was in the office
Mhm.
to, oh my gosh, Star-Lord,
Yeah.
and he looks awesome and he's happy about it. And now he's successful and he gets all the roles. Damn it, take advantage of that when it's given to you.
Yeah.
If you're going to use James Dean as your example, okay, you got 3 movies in you and then you end up dead. That's the way you're going to go.
I'm also going to say this. He keeps bringing up James Dean. I never thought James Dean wasn't fit. Okay.
Yeah.
He wasn't hulking, but
Well, he wasn't playing a superhero either.
Yeah, but I know that. Not only that, but he wasn't. Pattinson doesn't even strike me as
Chris
being
Pratt.
healthy.
Thank you, Casey.
Chris Pratt, yeah. But Pattinson doesn't even strike me, from what I've been hearing, as like healthy weight. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, James Dean wasn't away for anything. He wasn't scrawny.
No.
I mean, it's just I'm not liking this guy.
I mean, I got to be honest with you, and don't get me wrong, because I totally am on the lower side of this, but compare James Dean to Sal Mineo. Okay, which would you prefer to be? I'd prefer to be James Dean. Okay, and that might require a little bit of diet and working out. So anyway, but yeah, that's the warped sensibilities that these Hollywood types have. And I'm sorry, that's just not gonna do it. It's those days where you could be Marlon Brando are over. because we are going into an era where they need to start looking at, maybe we do need to start looking at the no-name person who fits the role perfectly, who is also very talented. Sign them on for 3 movies. If we get sequels out of them, great. If we don't, then maybe there's some other roles that we can cast them in. But the big names, sorry, you've priced yourself out of movies now. We don't want you anymore. I mean, I got to be honest with you. Hollywood needs to start abiding by the same business rules that the corporate sector does. Who is the first people they lay off when things get tight? It's the people that have been around the longest and making the most money. And they bring in two new people for the price of the one person they're letting go. There's some give and take on that, but when you get to be a bean counter, that's what you got to do.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean,
I like that. That's a great comment, Sir Torrin Clegane. Dying in a car crash or getting stabbed in the park, I could go with neither. Well, good point.
I mean, there was that Deadline article, though. Warner ranks already thinner, shed thousands of jobs due to COVID-19, and it's I don't know. HBO Max launched in May, but hasn't gotten much traction. Have you had any interest in getting HBO Max? Is that
nope?
Okay.
Keep in mind, again, Netter and I are out of work. We are not going to be subscribing to any premium services.
I don't think you're missing much.
So while all these streaming wars are going on, I'm going, you know what? I'll do without. Because I've had to tighten my belt. I'll tell you what, when I get back to work, then come talk to me about what I might spend my extra dollars on.
That's interesting too. Yeah, because this was the big year where they're all pushing streaming and nobody has any money.
Exactly. Dude, I'm in a situation where I can't even afford medication now. I have no insurance. I can't afford we spent money we didn't have for another month of pills, and I'm not doing it again.
I'm sorry to hear that.
So we're literally getting to the point where we got to start thinking about, whether we eat or I pay for my medication or we pay for our mortgage. So I don't even want to hear the yays and the woes of Hollywood and the streaming wars.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? This is real world stuff that Hollywood has completely lost track of.
But
They don't understand. You can bitch and moan at me about what I choose to view and what I choose not to. Well, guess what? I don't have the money for your BS, Hollywood. So stick it.
I mean, they're saying AT&T has a massive amount of debt.
Yep.
I think the what I read was 150 billion. So I don't know how they could be in denial of that. I don't. It's like that doesn't seem like chump change to me. But
so I mean, I can sum up exactly how out of touch Hollywood is by capping off our Warner Brothers talk. We just talked about the trouble that they're in and pushing off Batman to 2022, and yet we still have the dingbat director, or excuse me, producer, talking about a Mr. Freeze solo film. Really?
yeah, this gentleman he's been the Batman producer since Batman and Robin.
How out of touch are we that you're actually talking about? Because look at how well Suicide Squad has been. Look at how well your emancipation of a one Harley Quinn has been. That's just been genius. So let's throw another log on that, dumpster fire with a Freeze standalone film.
They're looking at the Joker, though. Let's be honest. They're looking at the Joker movie.
And anybody who understands Warner Brothers is going, we all know that was not a Joker movie. That was a movie that was Joker in name only. That was a remake of what was that De Niro film?
King of Comedy?
King of Comedy.
And Taxi Driver.
And maybe a little bit Taxi Driver. That's all that was. That was not a Joker movie.
Yeah, he was saying he liked the Batman the Animated Series episode Heart of Ice. Did you ever see that when it aired back in the day?
I did. And that could have me believing it could work, but you know what? Again, you got your head up your butt if you think that creating villain movies is the way to go.
Not only that,
get your heroes figured out first.
They want to create villain movies, but they're not having Batman really in any of these movies. And I'm wondering this.
Yeah.
Remember, critics used to yell about the old Burton Batman movies. They were saying that all these movies, they're focused on the villains more than they are the hero.
Right.
And now it seems like they're excising the hero.
Literally focusing on the villains and not even putting the hero in the film. So look, this was the same problem that I groused about with Suicide Squad. Nobody cares about these villains because we never got a chance to see them as villain in hero movies. You've got to start out with them as villains in the hero movies before we care about their redemptive arc. You're telling it all out of order here. Don't give me a 20-minute exposition dump at the beginning and expect me to care about the history of these villains.
Yeah, but there's going to be an exclusive streaming animated series to give you all that.
Yeah.
On HBO Max.
And again, it's the same problem that Star Wars has. Don't tell me about the book and the cartoon and the other thing that I got to, all the homework that I got to do to enjoy your movie.
The video game. And
if you don't put it in the movie, I don't care about your video game. I don't.
So we got a lot of delays. You want to hear about them?
Yeah, go for it.
The Batman delayed till 2022, yep. October 1st, 2021, now moved to March 4th, 2022. Dune is now on October 1st, 2021. The Flash, I guess this is going to be called The Flash, moving from June 3rd, 2022 to November 4th, 2022. Shazam! Fury of the Gods, leaving November 4th, 2022 to June 2nd, 2023. And the Minecraft movie losing its March 4th, 2022 release date. I don't know when that's going to be released. I know you were looking forward to the Minecraft movie, Troy, but
I mean, I didn't even know about it, so I couldn't tell you about that. I know Nanette is kind of into Minecraft as far as that kind of thing, so maybe we would have gone to see it, but I didn't even know about it. So what you're basically telling me, and this is just my interpretation of what you just said, 2021 is already considered a loss.
Yeah. I think
so 2020 and 2021, we have no movies. I'm sorry, Hollywood. That means you've lost your momentum, and good luck trying to get people back in 2022 and 2023. We'll have moved on to other entertainment that we won't care about your movies anymore.
Bowling is sounding good to me these days.
Right?
Of course, I can't go to a bowling alley right now, can I? Okay.
Well, I think as long as you keep an extra lane open between you, and the lane next to you, it's going to be fine.
I got to say, they keep postponing all these movies. What's going to be in the theaters?
Yeah.
Old movies, or are they just going to keep them shuttered till Hollywood gets its act together?
I don't know. I mean, some of these theaters are subsisting on things like re-releases of Hocus Pocus and The Empire Strikes Back and stuff like that. I don't know. That should tell Hollywood something. We don't care about your new stuff. We're going back to our old stuff. I mean, Star Wars has pretty much gotten the message. Nobody cares about the sequel trilogy. That's why Hasbro is putting out The Mandalorian and the first, the prequels and the original trilogy action figures. That's the only thing that's keeping Hasbro going.
They don't like Rey.
They can't give away Rey and Rose Tico and what was that
Holdor? Admiral
Holdo, forget it.
They
put out one action figure of hers and that didn't sell at all. I can't even remember the name of that ex-stormtrooper that was in the last movie. What was her name?
Who?
Oh, I don't know.
Captain Phasmus?
No.
Who they basically did nothing with. Because
unfortunately, she was another villain that had a great deal of potential that they killed.
She was one of the interesting new, and of course Ryan Johnson just killed her off willy-nilly and didn't do anything with her, and because he's Ryan Johnson. Anyway, let's not get it.
I'm sorry, I can't remember what her name was.
Ex-stormtrooper.
Yeah, she was an ex-stormtrooper. The only movie she was in A Rise of Skywalker. I'm trying to remember her name.
Was she the one who we thought was Lando's daughter?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
You know who I mean.
Intimated.
Her action figures are showing. They're the new Rose Tico figures that nobody cares about.
She didn't have much of a role.
No. But her action figures are all over the effing place.
I mean, it was nice that maybe she's Lando's long lost daughter, and he gets, I don't care anymore.
But there was no storyline that established that, so nobody cares. You know
what I thought? I thought when they announced Lando was going to be in the last one, so how are they going to kill him off now?
Exactly. That's what everyone said.
What humiliating death is he going to suffer now?
And what's interesting is they, in quotes, subverted our expectations by not killing him off. I mean, for once, they actually subverted our expectations in a good way. Look, one of the guys over on Midnight's Edge had a quote that I loved. He said, "Quit subverting our expectations and start exceeding our expectations. Once you start doing that, you'll start having successful films."
Do you know what Doctor Who episode from the Capaldi era did that with me, where it was subverting my expectations? Remember it was the season 2 premiere. Remember that, where the Doctor has to go back. He time travels and he meets the little boy and he says, "What's your name, little boy?" And he says, "Davros."
Yes.
And he was like, "Oh no, he's not going to do anything to the kid." And then he meets Davros on the I guess, is it Skaro? I think he goes back to Skaro, and and what I thought was interesting was they were playing all this nonsense up like Davros was, saying, "Oh, I meant I always thought the Daleks were for good." And it's almost like, are they trying to make us empathize with Davros now? And all this other, and then right at the end, oh no, okay, things are as they're supposed to be. Davros is the villain, the Doctor's the hero. Okay, let's not pull this nonsense about, But they were playing around with us for that episode. I noticed that, and it was all just a prod. Basically,
some of the best episodes have done that. And
I enjoyed it. I mean, I actually thought, when I know some people didn't like that season, but I thought it was one of the better seasons of the newer era. And well, we don't want to talk about Doctor Who right now, do we?
Well, there's not really much to talk about. I mean, we can grouse about old stuff, but that's old stuff,
Anyway, but I just did remember that though. But basically, it's Davros was trying to trick the Doctor, but the Doctor was too smart to be tricked by Davros and reversed it on him. I thought that was clever, and I enjoyed that episode.
And that's really the Doctor at his best. Unfortunately, we haven't gotten that kind of writing since the first female Doctor played by Jodie Whittaker. I mean, and I am not even here moaning and complaining about the Doctor being female. We just haven't had the writing. It hasn't been there, but you're right. I mean, there is no new news about Doctor Who, so there's really little point in talking about it.
Anyways, well, we got a Flash movie to look forward to. I don't know how Ezra Miller got kept that on. They had him on video. Did they smooth that over? Did the woman say it was a prank?
What they basically are we're committed because he's the guy that played the role, so we have no choice.
Yes, but that was weird. That's
so
like,
now
if I go in public and choke someone and someone films me, I might be going seeing jail time.
If you want to talk about all the Flashpoint, rumors that I've been hearing. So now we're hearing that they're bringing back everybody who's ever played Batman, everyone who's ever played Superman, everyone who's ever played, and all they're going to do is they're going to rehash the CW's Crisis.
Yeah, I think you mentioned this last week, didn't you? Or somebody did, and I was like, no.
Yeah,
I don't want to see. I'm not paying to see that.
Well, what's the point? I mean, unless you're going to do it and do it big time, if you're going to rehash what we got from the Crisis event, who gives a flying F?
Oh my word! Weren't they going to do a Doctor Strange movie called Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness? That was supposed to be the next Doctor Strange.
So now the rumor is that that Doctor Strange is going to appear in the next Spider-Man movie, and
sounds like they're doing the same thing over at Marvel now.
And he's also appearing in WandaVision, and so they're going for a whole multiverse thing there, and man, that just smacks in the face of what I was talking about. Bad time travel. It's bad multiverse. You don't like it, it's a multiverse, it's another universe. And I'm sorry, I don't have the mental gymnastics to try and figure out what universe we're in at any given time and say that this is the Sony universe, and this is the Marvel universe, and this is the TV universe, and this is the film universe. You know what? I just don't care anymore. I just don't care. If you can't tell us a good, elegant tapestry of story like you did with your original phases of the Marvel universe, count me out. I'm done.
I just want to see Iron Man kicking butt again, but that's not going to happen.
Nope. Because now if you're going to get Iron Man, you're going to get Riri Williams. God love you.
I could tell Iron Man 3, they were setting up that kid. He was also in Jurassic World, and I think he was being set up as a replacement Iron Man, and maybe you would have had Tony Stark around as like a mentor character popping up, and I think that got dropped because of Spider-Man. Yeah.
Nope, because Aged Boomer, don't you know, we can't have a white male teaching the next generation and passing the torch. We've got to kill him. We've got to wipe him away. We've got to we've got to age him. We got to get rid of him because we got to make the way for the all new, all different Marvel universe. Women get it done. Don't you know that?
And Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is no longer with us.
I don't even know what's going on with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, it had its finale. I and the professor were the only ones that were watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He kind of tapped out, though. I don't know if he ever got back into it. Yeah. I didn't hate the final season, but I thought it was kind of the weakness. They started doing too much stuff with time travel. Yeah. Time travel, stop it.
Thank you, Agent Boomer.
I didn't hate it, but it could have been better. I mean, even the season before, I almost was sympathizing with the writers on it because I think they saw what they did in the last Marvel, the Avengers Endgame, with the time travel stuff, and they said that, and the leap, and they said we can't handle this, we're not doing it. Okay, and then
between that and all the SJW BS Twitterazzi stuff that they've been the stars of these shows have been doing, I'm sorry, I can't even look at you on screen anymore.
It really got worse.
You've made it
like
very
last 3 years.
clear that
Yeah.
as a white male, you don't want my attention or my dollars. So I'm tapping out. Good luck
They
with
want
your new audience
well,
that you don't have.
They want your dollars and they want you to apologize.
Well, that ain't happening because I got no dollars to give. And I'm sorry if I don't have that, you're not going to get my apologies or my you know prostrating myself, in front of you, because it's not happening. And that wasn't a spoonerism. That was intentional.
No, I understand. Well,
God.
anything left to discuss, Troy? Any
Dude,
dead
we're in
horses?
the last 10 minutes. I think we should just start looking to the rest of the week.
Yeah, I want to beat this dead horse for another hour. Come on.
I mean, we can't.
Dead horses.
We can if you want to, but I also don't want to.
You know what?
I don't want to talk over.
I have a challenge. I have a challenge for you.
Sure.
You and I, for the next week, we're going to find some. Each of us. I want each of us to find a. You did was this week with that CG thing. That was a good geek news article.
I'm sorry, I buried the lead there. That should have been what we capped it off.
Yeah, we need to have 2 promising geek news articles, something that's not depressing, so we don't become.
Dude, I'm afraid that even if we come up with something positive, there's going to be a negative slant. Okay. We'll say something positive and come up with a way that Hollywood's going to screw it up.
Well, we'll try next week. We'll look around the world too, not just in America. We could see maybe there's some indie guy in England that's making his own superhero movie that we probably not. No, never mind. Anyway, okay. Let's go with the week.
Maybe Brazil or Lithuania, I think, is what we're starting.
There you go, Lithuanian. Right? We'll have. I don't know if they have any superheroes over there. Maybe we'll get something from them. Maybe a good science fiction series, huh? That'd be nice,
right?
A new science fiction series. I've been watching repeats of Space 1999, and I'm really impressed with it so far. So.
Yeah, I feel like the old fart that I thought nobody knew about it, but
I'd always heard about it, but never got to watch it the recent. They have it on Prime, and I got the Blu-ray set for Christmas. I've been watching my Blu-ray set. So, all right. So let's talk about the week. Tomorrow night, Sound Engraver is
right after tonight.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes,
in the next 10 minutes. Be sure to jump over if you are interested in anime. The Weeb Watch, Mr. Matchstick is hosting the next 2 installments of Hellsing Ultimate. So as soon as you leave here, go ahead and click on that link. Even if you're not going to stick around, give him a thumbs up, say hi, let him know that he's a part of the community and we love him. Okay?
Definitely. And Hellsing Ultimate, that's a good series. I've never seen it myself, but I saw the older version of that.
Sure.
I'm trying to think. So definitely watch Weebwatch. That'll be starting in 10 minutes or so. Yeah.
Well, 8 minutes now.
8 minutes now. All right. So tomorrow night is Sound Engraver is back.
Sound Engraver is back. Thank goodness for Sound Engraver. I am so glad. We need a little bit of inspiration. We need a little bit of our Monday night muse.
Yes. And what's her topic tomorrow? Is it the Batman?
I'm not sure if she's going to be talking about the Batman animated series. I know she dropped an article about that.
Yeah.
She alluded to that in the near future she'd be talking about that. But if she's not talking about that, she'll be talking about some piece of music that we can all learn from tomorrow night.
Cool. And let's see. Tuesday night, I believe.
Tuesday night, nothing's happening. Nothing that we'd be interested in, right?
No, Tuesday night is the Professor Geek's. What does he call it now?
Tuesday Night Classics. I believe it's the Son of Dracula.
Son of Frankenstein.
Son of Frankenstein. Thank you.
Yeah. You like Basil Rathbone?
I do, and there's going to be some schmo as a guest host tomorrow on Tuesday. Is that right?
I'll be there. Yes.
Oh, yeah, schmo. Okay,
yes,
me too.
Schmo. I'm going to say
usual suspects with Aged Boomer.
You got to convince the professor at some point on one of these Tuesday Night Classics. I know they're shorts; they're not technically movies, but Three Stooges.
Oh, well, see, he does seem to go with themes. So we've gone through the noir.
Yeah.
He was going to do then he of course went to the Universal Monsters for Halloween. In November he was going to do westerns, but he's going to take a break during the holidays. So maybe we convince him to do some comedies after the new year.
There you go. That might be nice. That might be a good thing for January. You're right. Maybe comedies.
Yeah.
So let's see. Wednesday night is there are two things going on. There is Green Lion Girl has her.
Well, I like to say Daniel Heron first because he starts his stream a
Oh,
little
we
bit
start earlier.
early.
I'll be on with him.
He starts 8:30 with Soundtracks with
Okay.
Birdman.
Mhm.
Do you know what the topic is this week? Because last week he had a little bit of an issue. Maybe he's going to go back to that.
As far as I know, I think we're doing the Psycho rewatch with the discussion of the great Bernard Herrmann soundtrack. Bernard Herrmann is considered by many to be the greatest film
use
composer.
of strings in that soundtrack is just it puts you on edge, almost like fingernails on a chalkboard, but in a musical kind of way. It's genius stuff. Yeah, that's going to be good stuff Wednesday night.
Mm-hmm.
So that's Daniel at 8:30 Eastern. But then at 9:00 Eastern, Green Lion Girl starts a new game with I said Hitman, but it's Hot Man, but it's Hitman. The Hot Hitman.
Hitman. They made a movie off of that. It had Timothy Oliphant in it, remember?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
So it's Hitman, not Hot Man playthrough on Green Lion Girl's channel. That should be a lot of fun. I hope I can catch at least the tail end of that after my D&D game.
Okay, cool. And Thursday night, Professor Geek will be doing another book study.
The next installment of the Halloween Tree. Boy, it's I'd never read that book before. It's actually really good. So a great little Halloween tale in the it does for Halloween, as he says, it does for Halloween what A Christmas Carol does for Christmas time. So good stuff.
All right. And Friday night Frights with Famine on Friday. I believe that I don't know what time that starts. Is it 8:00 or 9:00? I think it's
he tends to be earlier from my experience, so I think
it's going to be 8:00.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's going to be. They think it's going to be Dracula, Prince of Darkness, since he wasn't able to do it last week because of the he was in the path of the hurricane. So
there you go. I would always say if we're certain about the times, just go subscribe and hit the notification bell, and you'll know when he goes live.
Big Al had a nice little substitute stream last Friday because the family couldn't make it. They did the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown. You should get a chance to check that out.
I haven't had a chance to watch the rewatch of that, but I definitely will.
Yeah.
Heck, maybe after the stream, I'll check that out.
All right.
And then Saturday night, what? Nothing's happening, right? Saturday night rewatch is a rewatch that I have been looking forward to for a very long time. I've been promising it for over a year. Hellbound, Hellraiser 2 from 1998. We're going to follow up from my rewatch of Hellraiser rewatch last year, keeping in mind that this is a true continuation. Really, those two movies could have been put together as one film because both stories are encapsulated within the novella that they're based on, The Hellbound Heart by Clive Barker. So
I like the beginning of that movie where they show the previous scenes, and you have to do this when we're doing the rewatch. Say previously on Hellraiser. You have to say that.
Previously on
that's what it's like. It's like it's like
that almost hurts my heart to say that because you wish that the whole rest of the series after that had continued in the same spirit, and it so doesn't.
I still like part 3.
I do too, although. I don't think it's necessary for me to do it this year. Maybe I'll do it. Maybe I'll do it next year.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll do it in conjunction with the Star Trek channel because Terry Farrell is there as the female lead. So maybe we'll see. But I got a year to think about that. Just like I had a year to think about this Saturday. So there's the link for that. And then that brings us around to next week's Study Hall and Mr. Matchstick. And I am going to go ahead and drop the link for Wolf 10 Media and the Wolf Squadron because he does things sporadically. I don't know when, I don't know what, but go ahead and give him a like and a subscribe so that you can catch him whenever he puts out some content.
Yeah, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And
let me just give me because she hasn't had a chance to put out any kind of regular content, but let's give Netters Network
Definitely.
some love, because she is starting to put out content, and she will start streaming on her own as soon as we get her new computer.
Great. Okay. Sounds good.
And that gets us 30 seconds left. Last minute.
I'm going to hit the bell.
All right. Night, everyone.
Good night.